Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you felt genuinely well? Not just fine, not just getting by, but truly energized, clear-headed, and strong. If you had to think about that for a moment, this video is for you. Here's something that stopped me cold when I first looked into it during my 20 years of practice. The average American man lives nearly 6 years less than the average American woman. 6 years. That's not a small gap. That's grandchildren, retirement trips, and moments with the people you love most. And the reason? Most people assume it's because men take risks. Men are reckless. But in all my years working with patients, I've learned that's not the real story. The real killers aren't dramatic. They're ordinary. They're quiet. And most men never see them coming. My name is Dr. Alexandra, and today I want to walk you through the 5 habits that are genuinely shortening men's lives. And I promise you, number 1 will surprise you. Most people assume it's alcohol. But alcohol? That's only number 5. Before we go further, if you find this helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from the men in this community. Now let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, alcohol. Now before you roll your eyes and say, I've heard this before, stay with me, because the real danger isn't what most men think. The CDC estimates alcohol takes roughly 2 to 3 years off the average man's life. That sounds almost manageable, right? But that's the average. The men who binge drink, who pour 3, 4, or 5 drinks on a Friday night after a long week, can lose 10, 15, even 20 years. Here's the part most men miss. The problem isn't drinking every day, it's the way American men tend to drink. It's the weekend pattern. It's going hard after holding it together all week. And that pattern, drinking fast, drinking to feel it, is exactly what overwhelms your liver. Your liver can only process about 1 drink per hour. When you push past that, liver cells start dying faster than they can be replaced. Inflammation builds. Fat begins accumulating in tissue that was never meant to store it. And after 40, I see this in my patients constantly. The liver's ability to bounce back slows dramatically. The same amount you handled at 25 does 2 or 3 times the damage at 55. And it doesn't stop at the liver. Poor sleep, rising blood pressure, lower testosterone, higher anxiety, more inflammation throughout the body. Most men never connect these dots. They just feel off and don't know why. The fix isn't perfection, it's awareness. Give yourself a couple of alcohol-free days each week. Slow down when you do drink. Give your liver a rest the morning after a heavier night. Small shifts, real results. But remember, alcohol is only number 5. What comes next is far more dangerous. Number 4 is something that walks into my office in disguise almost every single week: chronic stress. And it ranks above alcohol in terms of damage. That surprises almost everyone. A long-running Harvard study found that men living under sustained, unrelenting stress lose an average of more than 4 years off their lives. But the number barely captures the reality of what's happening inside the body. When stress becomes your background noise, not a moment of pressure, but a constant hum that never switches off, the hormone cortisol floods your system. Short bursts of cortisol are protective. Long-term cortisol is corrosive. It weakens your immune system. It tightens blood vessels and strains the heart. It pushes blood sugar higher and higher, and it quietly destroys sleep quality, even when you're in bed for 8 hours. I always tell my patients to think of the body like a well-engineered machine. Chronic stress is like running that machine with no coolant. Everything still moves, but the parts are grinding down from the inside. And here's the cultural problem. So many men are taught to push through, to stay silent, to be strong by not talking about it. So they bottle it all up, and the pressure just builds. No release valve, no outlet, not an explosion, just a slow, invisible collapse. But chronic stress has a weakness. You don't have to solve everything to start healing. A genuine walk, an honest conversation with someone you trust, an hour doing something that actually brings you joy. These aren't luxuries. They're medicine. Give your nervous system permission to come down, and your body knows exactly how to respond. And remember, that's only number 4. The habits ahead are even more dangerous. Number 3 is the one that catches most men completely off guard: social isolation. And the dangerous part is how slowly it sneaks up on you. In your 20s, most men have full lives: friends, teammates, social circles. Then your 40s arrive. Work takes over. Family becomes everything. Friends drift away. And one day, a man in his 50s looks around and realizes his entire world has narrowed down to just a couple of relationships, sometimes just one. We are not built for that. Human beings are wired for connection. And when that connection disappears, the body reads it as a threat. A landmark analysis of over 300,000 people found that social isolation raises the risk of early death by up to 50%, a level comparable to years of heavy smoking. Unlike cigarettes or alcohol, isolation leaves no visible mark. There's no diagnosis for it. It just creates a quiet emptiness, and that emptiness triggers real, measurable biological damage. Inflammation rises, the immune system weakens, blood pressure becomes harder to control, self-care quietly falls apart. Social isolation doesn't mean living alone. It means having no one to be honest with, no one who truly knows what you're carrying. The good news? The body responds to connection almost immediately. One phone call to an old friend, one coffee on a Saturday morning, one community, one group, one team to belong to. It doesn't take much, but it has to be real, because genuine connection doesn't just lift your mood. Research shows it extends your life. And remember, this is only number 3. The next 2 are even more dangerous. Number 2 is something I genuinely wish more men took seriously. Not getting enough sleep. This one ranks above stress, above isolation, and most men are completely underestimating it. Sleep gets treated like a bonus, something you cut when life gets busy. One more episode, one more task, a couple fewer hours, no big deal. But your body absolutely disagrees. When you consistently fall short on sleep, your brain and organs are forced to keep working through the time that's supposed to be dedicated to repair. Your heart rate increases to compensate, blood vessels stiffen, blood sugar becomes harder to regulate. Even one night of sleeping only 5 hours can reduce immune function by nearly 30%. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, men who regularly sleep fewer than 6 hours a night live an average of more than 7 years less. 7 years from a habit that feels completely harmless. And here's what makes it tricky. You adapt to feeling tired. You tell yourself you're fine, just a little sluggish, while your cardiovascular system and hormones are working overtime just to keep you functional. The good news is your body responds fast. After just 2 or 3 nights of real, solid sleep, 7 to 8 hours, blood pressure drops, focus sharpens, mood stabilizes, and energy starts returning. Sleep is not wasted time. It's the time your body spends pulling you back from the edge. To start improving tonight, keep a consistent bedtime, even on weekends. Put your phone down at least an hour before bed. Keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. Cut caffeine after early afternoon. These aren't complicated changes, but they compound powerfully over time. And now, the number 1 habit shortening men's lives. Not alcohol, not stress, not even sleep deprivation. It's sitting. Just sitting. I know that sounds almost too simple to be taken seriously. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. A 20-year study following over 120,000 people found that men who sit more than 8 hours a day carry a 60% higher risk of dying earlier, and a sedentary lifestyle can cut up to 12 years from a man's life. The damage isn't visible, it's happening deep inside. When you sit for extended periods, the large muscles in your legs, the biggest calorie-burning engines in your body, essentially shut down. Blood pools in your lower body, circulation slows. Your brain receives less oxygen, which is why long sitting sessions leave you foggy and drained. Insulin resistance builds quietly, raising the risk of type 2 diabetes. Inflammation rises. Your heart works harder just to push blood through a stiffened system. And here's the key thing I want you to hear. It's not the total hours of sitting that do the most damage. It's how long you sit without moving. After just 30 minutes of stillness, your metabolism begins to drop. Fat storage accelerates, and muscle tissue starts breaking down faster than it should. Use it or lose it. That's not a motivational phrase, that's physiology. But here's what I love telling my patients. You don't need a gym. You don't need a brand new routine. You just need to interrupt the stillness. Stand up every 30 minutes and move for 2 minutes. Walking after meals, even for just 5 minutes, makes a measurable difference. Take calls standing up. Choose the stairs when you can. Park farther away. Let movement weave into your day rather than being something you have to schedule around. The moment you stand up, your body begins to recover. That's not encouragement. That's biology. When you step back and look at all 5, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Men don't lose their health in a single dramatic moment. They lose it slowly through the small choices repeated day after day, year after year. Alcohol steals 2 or 3 years. Chronic stress can take 4 or more. Social isolation, 5 or more. Sleep deprivation, over 7. And prolonged sitting can take even more. The encouraging news is that every one of these habits can be changed. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently. You don't have to transform your life all at once. Start with one habit. Stand up more often. Protect your sleep. Reconnect with an old friend. Take stress seriously. Drink more mindfully. Small actions, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results over time. If this video helped you, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Your future self and the people who love you will thank you for it.